Hello, everybody. Hi. Oh, we have more people. Hello. I'm just admitting everybody into the class. It's good to see you guys. Hi. Okay. There are a few more people. Oh, there's Sonia. There are a few more people, so I don't know who's actually gonna come live and who's gonna watch I know 2 people might watch the recording, but I think most of us are here. How is your Tuesday? It feels like between Monday and Wednesday, which is completely Tuesday. So it works. It doesn't feel like the beginning of the week, not the middle of the week, so it's a perfect Tuesday. I hope everyone is well, and I'm so excited to start this new series with you. And I've been like, oh, cloudy and wet. It's cloudy and wet here as well. Like, it was so rainy to the point that I woke up yesterday. Usually we don't really hear the rain, but it was so bad. And it was like, you know, it rains and it falls into something, and you just have that metal trinkling sound, and you're like, what is this? And I obviously freaked out, and I was like, there's a murderer who's here who's gonna kill me. It wasn't. It was just the rain. I watched a series I shouldn't have called The Fall. Oh my god, I'm still terrified. I think about it all the time. It's crazy. It consumes you. It consumes me. I see like the guy, trying to kill me wherever I go. Anyway, moving on. Golden Borders. They did kill a lot of people and each other, so it's kind of relevant. So let me start with the presentation. Should we give people about 2 minutes? Let's start exactly 6:35. Just in case, although I think all of us are here. As you know, if you have any questions or anything, either jump in with your mic or write it to me in the chat. This is recording, so that's good. And I hope you have some just usual paper, ruler, lots of tracing paper. Some stuff are systematic, like we did in previous workshops where there is like a section, we're going to repeat it. Some stuff are wild. They don't have like an exact unit to do. It feels a lot of it is like, oh, Shaw, are you watching Squid Game? Oh, Lynn, you're watching Squid. Both of you guys. Oh, it's on my list. I'm a bit scared.
You have to. You just have to.
I'm gonna like.
It's so good.
I saw some reviews on Twitter. They were saying that because it's in Korean, but like the translation is like really different for like when the Korean speakers watched it with the translation. Apparently it's not super accurate, but they were saying that they kind of touched on capitalism and like class and all these issues, and I was like, what? It has a lot of blood though.
It's a lot of blood, but it is so it's just so good. I won't say more. It was so good. I was thinking about it all the time too.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna live in my brain. You know, like Money Heist. Oh, that was so good. Mm-hmm. Money Heist was amazing. Did you guys see it? It's in Spanish. Oh, worth the subtitles. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen instead of talking to you about these series. Oh, not the wrong screen. There we go. Oh no, seriously. Okay, there we go. From the beginning. Okay, let me just put my face on. Oh, let me put the participants in case anyone wants to kind of join us in the middle. Put the chat on. Okay, my screen is ready. What was it? Why am I being blind? Slideshow. Dude, that's the one. Okay, welcome to the Golden Mughal borders. And as you can see, they are absolutely stunning. There's so many things to choose from, and the history of this empire is really rich. There's like so many things I wanted to include, and I have a list of books that I will share with you on the private page, so you can read more about it. This is like the tiniest, teeniest preview of life. It just gives you a snapshot of what they've done. But like literally every ruler has like so much that I thought was fascinating. And I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to like read more on that. And I've like studied some of it. A few years ago, I was just taking a preview about each empire of like the different Islamic dynasties and where they're located, and the Mughal Empire is so fascinating. So let's go ahead with a tiny bit of the history. And it was founded kind of the beginning of the 16th century, 1526, with Babur. So Babur is one of the names that you will remember as we go through. And funnily, he was related to, actually not funnily, it makes sense that he was related to the Mongol ruler Genghis Khan. So Genghis Khan came first, then Timur and the Timurids, and then Babur, who started the Mughal Empire. And the word itself, sometimes it's like you see it written as Mongol, but then this is Mughal. So in Persian, they refer to them as Mongol because of Genghis Khan, but it kind of became its own thing. So if you refer to this art as Mongol art, no one is gonna like really get what you mean, because with the Mongols, they have like their own set of art that is like very inspired by Chinese art, and it's also beautiful and it has its own thing, and it was kind of the basis of a lot of the designs in the Timurid dynasty, but then they had like Persian influence, so that like the Mongol was the starting point, but then it became its own with the Mughal style. So they would usually refer to it that it, like the Mongol as an art form, it was between 1580 to 1650. So I absolutely love this time period in general in a lot of the Islamic things. So it was kind of the end of the Timurid in that period, start of Mughal. It was during the Ottoman period. It was also when the Safavid started. So it just like, it's such a good period. They call it the golden period of Islam, where there are empires. Before that, we would have dynasties. They last for like 100 years and then they kind of like die out, or they just fight about the rules and who's the ruler and stuff. And these also had fights and a lot of bloodshed, etc. But the art that was produced, the architecture that we can still see until this day, except for like some that got destroyed with like earthquakes or with some just human wars, which is really sad. But the period itself gives us so many amazing accomplishments. So in general, I would definitely urge you to check out 16th to 17th century. So many beautiful designs. So like if you're looking up museums and stuff, look at that particular period, because they innovated so many things. It's amazing. It's my favorite. And in my PhD research, I also study kind of in between that period a little bit, mostly within the 17th century, like the beginning to mid. But there are three main emperors that, you know, you hear their names a lot: Akbar, Jahangir, and Shah Jahan. You hear about their names a lot because they really transformed the architecture. There are like more rulers. We will have like a little snapshot, but these are like the first three after Babur that did, well, actually, there's Babur, Humayun, and those guys. So it's a lot of history that goes in. The rulers change. We'll take a quick look. And the interesting thing about the Mughal dynasty is they came into a Hindu country, Hindustan, which is mostly parts of India and like the surrounding area. And obviously from the name, these were not Muslims. The Muslims were in fact the minority at the beginning of the Mughal empire. But the great thing is they kept the Hindus, they kept them all. They use their amazing skills, their crafts, and they kind of have fusion at the end. So it's like when people refer to this as Persian art, it did start like that, but then because it had so many different influences, it really changed up the structure. And it became like a different thing. And it's remarkable that in the Mughal Empire as well, people who were not Muslim actually could go high in the court, where in the Ottoman Empire it was only Muslims who could advance and could get positions and could, like, you know, be known and go way high up. But with the Mughal Empire, it was very like, I mean, they had their problems, but the fact that they were welcoming to other religions was, I find it really good. So here are the main emperors. Well, not main, but the most known ones. There are more. I think there are 6 more after this, but then it's like kind of when things die out and they lost interest in art. So it's like their accomplishments are not as such. And you can see some of the depictions that we have from miniature art. I don't know how accurate they are, but it is interesting to see these royal portraits. So Babur was the first one. Then Humayun came next. And this is the thing. Humayun came next, but he got kind of kicked out very quickly after he was in ruling for about 10 years and he got kicked out. He went to the Safavid empire and he got some help from them, and they sent him back with like, I think an army and 2 main artists that we will mention in a bit. Then he didn't really rule for very long, like very it's so sad. It's like he's depicted as a sensitive guy. I don't know if he is or not. After like a year, he died in the library, which is a bit sad. And then his son Akbar was 13 when he became the ruler. So it was very normal for the son to kind of gain power right after, even if they were like teenagers. I think in the Safavid, they were like 9 years old, like one of their first ones as well. But obviously it's not just the kid by themselves. They have like the same advisors and all of that. And I guess when they are younger, they are more influenced. So, which is useful for whoever is really in charge. Then Jahangir came next. Both Akbar and Jahangir had such a great interest in arts, and they have a great impact. And then the other 2, the 5th one, there wasn't like Shahryar, there wasn't a lot about, you know, we don't have a lot of artwork. Like we have some from the period, but he kind of like didn't really rule for long, so it didn't really matter. It's like he was there, but he didn't really do anything. Shah Jahan did loads of things for the architecture as well. So I'm just giving you the snippets because this is just a really short course, but I encourage you to take these names and take a deeper dive to know more about everyone's contributions. So the start of painting, there is something called the Kitab Khana. Kitab Khana means house of the books, and it's basically a workshop setup. It was men who were working on different stages of art of the book. This is one of the things that this era or this period is known for, which is book arts. And by book arts, they mean like the manuscripts that we see and we are going to study in this course, and there's like multiple things that happen. So remember when I mentioned that Humayun left and he kind of went to Persia and he got some help? So he got 2 Iranian masters with him, Mir Saeed Ali and Khawaja Abdul Samad, who's also kind of known as Mirza Ali. So it's like, I don't know 100% if there are 2 different people, but when I read about it, it seems like they are definitely 2 different people, but the second one has 2 names, and a lot of the work is accredited to them. So it's like, you see on this slide the work of the first one is by Mir Saeed Ali, and the other one is by Mirza Ali. So whether Mir Saeed Ali and Mirza Ali are different people, Khawaja Abdul Samad is the same as Mirza Ali, it's like, it's really hard to kind of know 100%. But the whole point is, these Persian artists kind of worked with the Hindustani artists and they created their own spin. This is why the Mughal art is different than Persian art, which is different than Ottoman art. Each one have their own little spin, but the interesting thing is they are all collectively Islamic, from Islamic rulers who paid for these commissions. So, you know, it depends how political you want to get about it. And then Jahangir, who ruled after Akbar, he had a different style. This is the thing we have to realize and contemplate, is that the ruler and their own personal style and preferences impacts the style. So they're like, oh, but I prefer a court scene, I would like a portrait, I would like some nature. And the artists, because they're just literally paid to do the vision of the ruler, they kind of adapt to the subject that the ruler would like. So it's quite interesting to kind of go into it. In terms of the development, so as I mentioned before, it first started with the Persian style. There's a photo of the earliest works from Tales of the Parrot, and then it kind of moved from the tales into, it still had tales, they still did illustrations into secular manuscripts that were stories and stuff. So it wasn't just the tales, it kind of became something really related to the court. So the court would dictate what kind of art there would be. So examples of subjects that you will see for the Mughal paintings: illustrations, literature, portraits. They love their portraits, and it wasn't just for them. It was the emperor, all his people, like important visitors that they would come. So in museums, you see a lot of like people wearing their Western clothes, and they are depicted in the Indian miniature style, which is because, you know, when somebody comes for a visit, one of the nice presents that these emperors would do is like kind of give them the opportunity to commission a painting or something like that. They also did more naturalistic stuff. So you will see as we study the borders how that impacted. It was like quite simple at the beginning, and then they worked their way around. Yeah, we covered all of that. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working on today, which is the simple borders. And sometimes these borders are like right in the middle of the page, and sometimes they are not. Sometimes they are just like on one side of the page. So we will do 2 constructions of a page to just kind of help us see how it differs. But they're really simple, but they are like really nice, and mostly they are floral, the simple ones. There's another one I didn't put a picture of. It's also floral, but you'll see it's like much simpler even. And some of it is systematic and some of it is freehand. So I think, you know, if you're an artist who knows how to do this perfect flower, right? And then you can just do it the same exact flower in different directions, you are skilled enough to just do that flower without the need to trace it, without specifying a unit. And I think some of it is that's what they've done. Next week we're gonna do wide biomorphic borders, and you know, each one has its own style. All of these come from the same manuscript. So imagine how creative you must be to come up with all these different styles on like just, you know, just pages apart. So it's like one lovely design after one lovely design, because they kind of want to keep you on your toes. So it's like every time you flip the page, you're like, oh my God, look at this beauty. So it's not like now when you look at a book and all the borders are exactly the same. They have like the element of surprise, like they change up the design, they change up the colors. Then we will do golden animal borders, and I feel like this is going to be the hardest one, unless you are very skilled at doing animals. And it's so nice that the animal depictions change all throughout the border. So it's like you see the elephants, it's like at the beginning, like on top of the page, they are like being playful together, and then it's like at the bottom of the page, it looks like they're having a chat. And it's just like you see the elephant depicted in different directions. The birds, you see them flying up, flying down. You see the deer sitting down and then like kind of walking and exploring. And it's like you just see different things. And because they did so much in that wide border, like they did a skinny little one in the middle that is floral and simple. So you see that a lot. So if sometimes they have multiple borders in the same page, but one of them is very intricate and detailed and the other one is very simple. The last thing we're going to do is freehand flowers, and this is like later within the Mughal period when they started like being so flashy with gold, so flashy with colors, and you see it's like the flowers are moving. It's not the same flower all the time, and it is not like an exact repeat, so it has some different changes. I hope that you are so excited and wired up about what we're going to do, because I'm going to change the screen now. Do ask me if you have any questions about what I've just said, or any concerns, etc. So share, there we go. Share again. And how are your hands? Are they warm? Are they ready? It must be ready for the drawing. This is actually not what we're going to do today, but I just printed all of these to show you. They're just so pretty. And when you learn how to do the borders, you can either do it in your own work, or you could just use it to highlight some of your work. So if you are doing your work in the middle, and you can use that border to highlight it. Just check. I'm glad you are enjoying this story. Will makeup base paints be okay in place of shell gold? Yes, definitely it'll be fine. I don't think I'm gonna, like, I can do a demo of shell gold if people want me to, but it's very similar to the metallic. Okay, so this is the paper I'm going to use, and here are some of the borders. So really, these are the ones that we are going to do. We're going to have a few of them that we will do. We're going to take our time with this just because we're kind of getting into these borders. So I love this one. This is my absolute favorite. I might like paint the whole one like later. And we're going to do some of these, like these two, and this little one right here. All right. Getting everything ready. I even numbered them everything. The stickers have their layouts that we want to start with. Aha, it was here all along. Okay, so I'm gonna work with an A4, and these are kind of estimated measurements of what we could have and how some of the pages are based on. So I'll show you the page that I'm basing this on. I'm not sure I remember the page I based it on. Oh yeah, it was one of these pages. So we are going to do a similar layout to this first, just so you can have it and you can use it for like the rest of the classes that we are going to do. Okay, so for that, we are just starting with a normal A4 paper. Let me put in participants on the side. Okay, so first things first, have your sharp pencil with you. Okay, and your ruler. We're going to do loads of ruler work. So we are starting with just about, the thing is, and this is the thing, I'm pretty sure they use a different type of measurements than just the centimeter that we are using, because a lot of these designs are just like off 1 millimeter or 3 from like a round number. And I'm like, did they do this on purpose, or did they just, I don't know. And so I'm just gonna round up a lot of these numbers. So first, I'm giving myself a top border of 1 centimeter, and I'm taking this 1 centimeter from few places, just so when I draw my line is nice and measured and correct. And so as you can see, I'm just measuring 1 centimeter from the top. Take your time with it, you can mark it a few places. Okay. And once you're confident, 1 centimeter, you just draw a line. It's okay if you do it right to the end. Okay. Yeah, so I have my first 1 centimeter. And let's show you that page again. And if you look, there is like a little bit of a margin that they leave on the page itself without doing anything. So this is like legit actual page that they've used. I think the real size is like, sometimes it's really hard to get the real size, but a lot of them are kind of between an A4 and an A3. So we are going to, so we just left this margin just for us, so we're not really close. So now we're going to leave the margin that they have already, which is 1.5 centimeter. And again, because I'm not using a compass to tell me exactly where things go, I'm just going to mark 1.5 centimeters, multiple places. So this is 1.5 centimeters. All right, and when I have enough points or marks, put them all in one line, and And this is when it's different. Sometimes this margin can be really wide or it can be medium. So here was the dark black one. Like, look at this wild margin. Like, what is that? Why? Why did they think that was a great idea? This is like 7 centimeters of margin. Imagine like opening a page. But then this was for a portrait with like just some titles. So it's kind of, it's different. But the classic one, which is they're doing the margins for like a poetry book. It looks like poetry. Or actually, it doesn't seem like poetry. It's like narrations from the Prophet. It's in Urdu and or Persian, actually, like Farsi. It's either Urdu or Farsi. Sometimes I can't tell the difference. But like there are things I can recognize. So it says hadith here, and hadith is the Arabic for narrations from the Prophet, and then it's like the name of the Prophet. So it could be just like collections of narrations that they have. Okay, so after we're given ourselves the margin, we are going to, yeah, it could be Farsi. The thing is, because sometimes with the Farsi script, they love the Nasali, and this one is not. So I don't know. And a lot of the words are kind of the ones I would recognize, like the Arabic ones. Are all in both Farsi and Urdu, so I'm like, oh, it looks familiar, but not. Yeah, it is. It is super similar to Urdu, so it's like it makes me think. Can you guys read it? I don't know. Either way, it doesn't matter. In the Mughal court, if you speak Farsi, it used to be considered like a really an educated, high class kind of person. So even though actually their mother tongue was Turkic, it wasn't even Urdu. I think Urdu came a bit later. But they kind of, it was Turkic when they speak to each other. Like they have like so many different Turkic languages. But then, because they're royalty and high class, they spoke in Farsi. So who knows? Anyway, we are going to start with the margin, and we are going to do 4 centimeters. And I think that's quite decent. It is most of the margins that we see. But again, there are loads of examples that show you how wild can be. It's like, this is not set in stone. So this is just kind of like a suggestion to fit most of our designs, but you know, you can change it up whenever you feel like. So I'm just gonna put my 4 centimeter marks so I can draw my line. Oh, I've done a few already. Alright, and then let them be here. Yep. Sip of my tea. Today I'm not really sure what hits me. It's like part of it is my cold, part of it is my tooth, part of it is just maybe stress. I have no idea. You know when you're like, I'm not feeling well, but I don't even know what's wrong with me. Yeah, that's the kind of feeling. But I noticed that when I was doing the class prep and just drawing, I didn't feel anything. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel tired. It just felt great. So maybe it's a sign to just do more art. Anyway, so as you can see, oh, Sonia, tell me about it. All the children have like a cold, and every time, like I had one last week and I recovered for like a minute, and then I got it again, and I was like, what is happening? I want to show you something that's here. So usually around the text, they don't just have one border or just one floral one. And sometimes when they kind of move between the big one in the margin and the one inside, they have several. And so it depends how much of these you want to do. And they can get really fiddly because it's like, basically each one of these for like specifically is about 1 mil. Other ones are about 2 mil. Like, this is another example where you see they have like, so they have their giant margin on top, and then they have 1 centimeter, like 1 millimeter, and then, or like 1.5 even, and then 1, and then a really tiny, teeny one, and then another teeny one, and then 1 on top of the color, then the actual 1 centimeter, and then they kind of repeat it. So I'm gonna leave that open for you to decide, but I'm going to just do 1/2 centimeter, and within that we can do 2. So I'm just marking 1/2 centimeter. And again, I'm just going to do my line. I don't know why I wrote 1/2 centimeter like 4 times. I just wanted to do my mark a few times, but not the thing. There we go. Okay, yes. Precise-ish enough. Alright. And on the inside, it's actually going to be quite big. 19. So, all the way to 19. Okay, you see my 19. But it's kind of like all the way into like the bottom of my foot. So, again, I'm going to mark it from several places. So I'm just marking where 19 needs to go. Let's see, wait, why am I doing that? Alright. And then I'm going to do a line. Yes, so I haven't done like a specific, do you mean the vertical just from the top to this line? It's from the top until this line is 19 centimeters. I haven't done the vertical lines yet, but I will. So from here to here, it's 19 centimeters. So, 19 centimeters. And under this 19 centimeters, I'm going to do another 1/2 centimeter. So you see how I did a 1/2 on the top? I'm kind of repeating it again. So whatever I do from one side usually mirrors up, but not always. You'll see what I mean by not always. And I just want you to know that borders are very open to interpretation. So since we are doing a few from like basic history and stuff, which is all good, but later you can definitely add your own spin on these borders. So this one, 0.5 centimeters, 1/2 centimeter. Can you hear me? Good. Maybe it's just my nasal voice because of my cold. Or am I like pushing? What's unclear? My voice or my instructions?
I think Ezra said to say, I think your mic is really like crackly and stuff. It's not. We can hear you very well.
Oh no! How can I fix this? Hold on. I moved my mic a bit.
Maybe it's not quite right in front of your mouth, which is provoking the issue.
Better. Maybe not. Okay, let me speak louder. I'm going to speak louder and see if that helps. If it doesn't, please tell me. Why, Mike? Why are you like this? Is this better? There was a button on my mic.
It is a little better. There's still some, but it's a little better.
Oh. Well, hopefully.
No, it's a lot better now. Yeah, it's still there in the background, but it's a lot better.
Okay, it could be my whooshing fan of my laptop as well. MacBooks do that. It's like, I don't know why. Anyway, let me repeat what I've done. Okay, so from the top, after we did our 1/2 centimeter, yeah, it's the whoosh is the fan. Let me try and put my laptop slightly further away. If I don't drop literally everything on the table. There we go. See, the mic and I are a bit further from the fan. Would this help? I don't know, but we shall experiment. Okay, so from the top of the 1/2 centimeter, we did a measurement of 19 centimeters. And then 19, it went all the way down. I measured it multiple places to kind of, you know, we could do a line properly. Okay, so this was 19 centimeters. And then under the 19 centimeter, we did 1/2 a centimeter. Okay. All right, so we did 1/2 a centimeter. And again, like every time I do something, I give it some marking. I don't know what happened to my 1/2 centimeter because I did mark it. Yeah, that's correct. No, I mix off, but anyway. The interesting thing is they haven't done another full 4 centimeter margin at the bottom. They only did 2.5 centimeters. So I am marking 2.5 centimeters. And this is the thing, again, these borders are fluid and they are changing. So even though we are doing a measurement right now, and we are going to use this measurement, I don't want you to be disheartened when you see things that are not exactly this measurement and be like, why? But this is it sometimes. There is a different measurement for certain things, but at least in this way, you can have a beginning understanding of these borders. And I'll tell you more about how I measure up in a second. Okay, so I did my 2.5 centimeters at the bottom. I did the mark from multiple places, and now I begin a line. One of these things take a bit of a while, but they are kind of nice to give us some guidelines. And once we finish this document, or this page, it can be there for you. Yes, I'm using an A4. And my A4 measures, I'll tell you the measurement of my A4. It is 29.123, like 29.8. Oh, your A4 is only 28? What? Girl, you don't have the rest of the margin. Oops. You have half of it. I mean, if you did 28, like this is where you'll stop. You will only have 1.5 instead of 2.5. You can work with that. It's okay. Make a mark for yourself. This goes a little bit beyond. They're only short 1 centimeter. That we need anyway. So, oops. Sorry. I don't know why they do this. Yes, I'm sure you will. And the thing is, we're not really, I mean, later on we will. So your homework for tonight, Sonia, or not just tonight, until next week, you can put all these measurements on a Canadian A3, which I'm assuming is slightly shorter than an A3 here. We'll find out. You'll find out and you'll tell me. I think maybe because of inches versus centimeters. Let's see how many is this in inches. No, it's not even a full 12-inch. Like it could have been. It could have been. You're a little short. So it's just a weird measurement of like 11.7 inches. Yeah. Mine is not. Mine is. Oh yes, yours is exactly 11. Okay. It makes sense. I would have stopped at 12 if it was me designing those A4 papers for Canada, but I'm generous. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I hope not all of you have this problem. Can I make the 19th centimeter smaller? Yeah, go for that. You can definitely make that smaller. So instead of that, just make it 18. Yeah, you can make it 18. Because the thing is, this is kind of a guide document, and then you can change it up. So we're going to do another one as well. So this is our first one. It's good to know. I will add it into my calculations. Okay. Now I'm going to leave myself a margin on the side as well. So now I want to do my vertical lines. And for my vertical lines, remember on the top, right there, we left 1.5 centimeters as a margin for the book page itself. So we're gonna leave the same, which is 1.5 centimeters. I forgot. 1.5 centimeters. And I'm going to do this on the other side as well. So I have it on both sides at the same time. And so when I'm drawing, I still have to move over there. But anyway, I'll be fine. Sonia, is the width of your paper the same as mine of almost 21? Or is that different? Because if it is different, you might have to like, oh, you have an extra half. So, right, that works. Oh, and then I'm just gonna draw my first vertical line, which is 1.5, and I'm gonna draw it the whole of the page. So I did it on one side, and because I did the marking earlier, I do it on this side. Okay. So most of this is nice and framed. We have extra lines, but like we're gonna erase them later, or we can keep them. It's no bother. All fine. And this is the margin was just have it as a kind of annoying on the side because it's not exactly like the one on top. So it's not the same as the 4 centimeters on top, but it's not short by much. So we can make things easier for ourselves and just keep it short. So I'm just going to keep it as 4 centimeters because it is nice when the border is the same. So whatever designs that we do, we can repeat them without being like too different. Otherwise, we have to like do a design every time that we do any measurements, and we have to do like adjustments and stuff. Alright. So for my second vertical line, it is 4 centimeters. The measurements. Okay. So, okay, so ours is a little bigger. That's fine. I think ours is like really nice and neat. Okay, the other border, which is to this side, is changeable. So this is what it depends on the page. So I'm going to show you the full page here. And this is what I mean. So they have a wide margin here, a wide margin here, but then when the two pages connect with each other, they have a thin margin. So your layout, you can just like literally flip the text. If you flip it, then it's exactly the same. So you have to kind of consider, am I doing a full page? Am I doing one as a connection? Am I going to follow the traditional? So this is kind of up to you to further decide if you want to just stick to this or if you want to do something else. We're going to do something else after, but this is kind of optional. And you can see like this side, so it's like half the size of this. So this one is 4 centimeters, this one will be 2, although it looks even smaller, which look like it's 1.5. But the funny thing is, this right here, it's not as wide. It's not as wide as the one right on top. Just slightly smaller. And there's the other thing is, because they work with multiple pages of paper, so all of this could have been done separately, all right? So they've done it, they glued it, and then they did these around it. Or they did all of these, and they were like, okay, so this is the space that I'm leaving for this to be stuck on. Which I thought was super interesting. Okay. Let's do 1.5 centimeter for this margin. And just like measuring it, multiple places. Here as possible. Alright. That means this is most of the space that we're working on, although remember how I said if we have a border around, it will all be the same size, so we need 0.5 centimeter here and 0.5 centimeter here. So 0.5, 0.5 on either side. So I'm just going to do the same exact thing. We're measuring again. And for this measurement, I don't need to go outside of this rectangle. Put it over there. And then I'm just going to draw. Okay. And here we have our lovely page. And I'm going to get rid of some spots so you can see the page clearly. So I can show you what this page what is. And this is just a nothing separate ones. So the page itself is from this corner all the way to this corner. A little looky inside of this. This is the saddest eraser of all time. Okay, so one side is clear. In other ways, we could have just started with the vertical to give ourselves the guidelines right away, but I erased the one. But I find it so much easier to start with horizontal lines. Perfect. There we go. There you go. So here's our page. This is our outside margin. This is our inside border. And here is where the text or the portrait or the picture or whatever can be. And this can even go smaller, depending on how much stuff you want to do. And if you want the page to be on the other side, we just come in. If we flip it over, we have to change two things. We have to just do a bigger margin on top and a smaller one. So you can just repeat all of it to the next side. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put it Alright. So this is our first structure. We're gonna mostly use this within the next 3 weeks. We will only change it when we have the really massive borders, like that one. But you know, the essence is kind of the same. Although here, they mostly have them similar, but not the exact measurements. We're going to do a whole bunch of that will be good on this construction. In this different example, they completely started from the side, so they don't even have this margin. They just started right away, and they gave themselves a wider margin on the left side. So it's quite interesting because when you keep looking at them, they're different. This is what I mean by the other side of the page. So instead of doing that little one there, they did it here. They also have this little one because this is where the page connects. It's a very similar measurement to what we've just done, the other side. This is another one, the animal one. So we're going to use the same measurements for the animal one. We might give ourselves a little bit more room here if we want to do some elephants. And this is the next one that we are going to do, which is very, very simple. We're just like giving ourselves some margins around. And this is now, the buttons are preference. Like their preference is just I don't know. Okay, so when I look at a page, my instinct would be like to leave the same amount on top and at the bottom. But here, the sides are identical, but the top is like, it's not like the bottom at all. It's not the same measurement. So what would you go for? Would you make them the same at the top and the bottom? Or would you do them like the classic example? Which one would you choose? Is that you can decide? I'm going to do all of it. We go with more on the top. That's good. Yeah, it just looks really nice on this flower. Like, I don't feel like it's missing anything, but I don't know, maybe our brains are just used to the idea of like, oh, if you leave this, you'll leave that. So we can do something in between. Maybe make this just slightly bigger, this one just slightly smaller to fit with the little borders that we're going to draw today. Okay, before we start the other ones, it's just like super simple, I'm going to give you a little 5-minute break to have a rest your hands, review what you want to do, and then we can come back and I'll show you what we're going to do all these types here. We're going to do this border, we're going to do this border right here and this border. We're going to do these two. And this one, am I overambitious? I don't know. We'll find out. But I feel like they're really simple, so you can probably do the day. Anyway, sounds good. I think that's good. So I don't have an option to increase my sound gain. Can you increase it on your side, or are you listening to me on the highest? I'm really away from the laptop. I'll try and push it slightly further. So after the break to make it better. Oh, usually the mic is fine. I don't know what happened to it. That's definitely like, I don't know, it gives me very, I think maybe a schwach like it is in the US right now. I know Shaw and Sonia are in Canada, so it should be similar connection. I don't know. I will speak louder. I will try. Sorry, I got so comfortable. Okay, I'll see you guys in 4 minutes, just in case you wanna make a tea or something. I'll put them away. Okay, I'll see you in 4. Maybe he's messing with us. He's been messing with us since yesterday. Okay, I'll be back in a sec. Hello. Okay, I'm gonna push my laptop all the way back. So I have to empty my table first. I live in a mess. Okay. All right. Okay, so I'm quite far from the laptop and its rushiness. Let's hope that this helps. Make a quick measurements. Let me know when you guys are back so we could start. Um, I think that A3 is in the UK. Hold on. Let me grab an A3 paper and measure that. All right, so my A3, paper, I just want to show you, let's see it. So this is my A3, right? My A4 fits right in the middle of that. So if you take your A3 and cut it in half, it should be the same measurement as my A4 if you are using a UK A3. Oh, thank you so much for joining, Ashwaq. Have a good time at work and sleep well, and I'll send you an email with the recording. TC, take care. Okay. Sonia, did you gather that? So if you take in your A3 and fold it, if it's the UK one, then it should give you my exact A4 page. Do you want to try that and see if that is? If it's not the same, we can just work out another measurement too. All right. Maybe I will after, I don't know, so no, it's okay. We're just, if you have it next to you, just cut it, fold it, and measure it, and then you have it. But with this one, it's quite simple. I'll show you. So you're not going to, you won't worry about it too much. Because if you're only, how many did you say you're short? You are until 28. Yeah, I have your measurement in mind. Don't worry. We're just going to reduce hours with a centimeter for you. So we'll be good. All right. Okay. Good. So with this one, we are going to start from the top. And we are going down. Let me go down. Yeah, 5 centimeters. Or actually, let's do 4.5. Or 4. Let's do 4 to have everyone's measurements in mind. We do 4 centimeters. Okay. And then 1/2 centimeter. Right. And then 1 centimeter. All right, so 1 centimeter. 1 centimeter. So mine is 21. So 21 divided by 2 should be 10.5, right? Yeah. it. Yes, I don't know why I doubted myself on that little tiny number. So I'm just marking my midpoint, which is 10.5. And I'm gonna don't do it with a hard pencil, do it really, really lightly. Okay. Is the wishing better? I'm so far from my laptop. I hope it is. I hope so. Okay, and under that, just do half a centimeter. So we want this construction for our border to be flexible. So that's why I made this halfway mark, because some of these borders, some of them are, these are the options. 12 centimeters, 14 centimeters, 12 centimeters, and 10/8 centimeters. So I noticed a lot of them have this difference. So the first one we are going to do is 14 centimeters. So I'm going to do 7 centimeters on either side. So if I put my ruler right in the middle, 7 centimeters at the top, I mean not the top, on the left, and then onto the right another 7 centimeters. Okay. So that's the biggest margin that I have. Not margin, the biggest border. And then I'm going to do the 12 centimeter measurement. So I'm putting my number 6 right in the middle. I'm going to just put this right here. So I made a mark for myself, and then I'm dropping this 1 centimeter. And I'm just giving myself some guidelines, so I'm going to just design a few of them under each other. Okay. Right. Just double checking. Yep, this one's 12. Oh, this one's 10. This one's 12. So the 12 is going to be our most versatile one. So the last one is a 12 centimeter, but put the 6 centimeter right in the middle, so you'll have 6 centimeter either side. And then I dropped it 1 centimeter. Zoom in. There we go. So I'm going to do the 2 12 centimeters. So this one is one design. I'm going to repeat the same measurements down so we can do the other design right under it. So it's an additional 1 centimeter. You can give it, if you want, you can leave space in between them. I'm just doing it right under it. 1 centimeter. Just because I want to draw in that space. So the exact same one that we've just done. I'm just doing it again. And the second one, 1 centimeter, it's a bit hard somewhere, but whatever, it's fine. Okay, so first things first, bring in your tracing paper, and we'll start drawing using this. I'll put some markers around, only around 13 centimeter. Just to kind of give myself a stopping point. I'll just drop the line all the way down. Okay, bring in your tracing paper. I'm using an A4 tracing paper, but feel free to cut it to A5. That way you don't have your loads just hang in. If you have some tape, tape that. Okay. And this one is actually, there are a few repeats, but the most obvious repeat is when you hit the middle point, okay? So I'm going to zoom right in. And all the drawing that I'm going to do is on top of my tracing paper, okay? Because whatever lines and stuff that I've done under, I'm using them as a template for me. Okay, is ready? Yes. Yes. All right. So there are two ways to start. You can either start from the corner or you can start from the middle. I'm going to start from the middle. And I'm starting with a little flower and its circular center. And it has 4 petals, 2 halves. So 1, 2, and then a full petal. Okay. Make it slightly smaller, give yourself some space. Okay, and from here, so there is a way of doing more measurements. So about every 1 centimeter, which could help us. So I can tell you exactly where to place your flower. So on your tracing paper, just do a tiny bit of a mark every 1 centimeter. Okay. And when you go to the corner, you just do 1 diagonal line from that 1 centimeter that you did. All right. And on this diagonal line, we are going to do the same flower, except for it's diagonally. And so we start with the half center, half a petal on top, half a petal at the bottom, and the middle. That's it right there. Okay. Right around it, we have our spiral. Yeah, just to kind of do the whole one, although you don't really, you can just do the whole one. I was going to only do half of it so you can have just this unit that you can repeat. But the spiral is a bit funny. You'll see what I mean. I mean, not funny like ha ha ha, funny is like, it's a bit like, it has its own thing going for it. So I'm gonna go and do some S's. I'm basically gonna do like hills and valleys. Okay. So first one, just on top of this flower, and I'm gonna take it all the way into this mark that I've made for myself. So I'm just going down, okay? And from there, I'm going up until this point, and then I'm going up again. Don't make them too sharp, like give them, like let your valley be wide. Okay, and all the way to under my flower. And now we can add the rest of our flowers. So right here in the inside, we imagine there's this halfway point, and this halfway point. And we're gonna do this as much as we can of our 4-petal flower. Like there's a free hand, but if you struggle with free hand, you can always like do one and then just transfer it around. So again, it's 4 petals, it's the exact same flower. I have 2 more. No. Oops. I got very comfortable and I was like, oh yeah, I just want to do it diagonally. Nope. They are literally on the line, like the petals. Same here. Okay. And once you finish, you will notice that there is actually a connection that goes from the spiral to the flower, to the spiral, to the flower. And you see, like my connections are very like subtle, just like little lines. So here, the line comes from the side, the line comes from the side, the line comes from the side, the line comes from the side. And then I'm going to add my leaves. One of them comes right under my flower right here. One of them comes here, and they're really nice and pointed leaves. There's one on top, and one at the bottom. There's one with a flip going backwards. And then there's the one to the front. There's one right here. There's one going to almost doing a back flip, right here. There's one here. There's one almost at the bottom of the flower. And there's one right on top. Right? And then the spiral that we've done comes downwards. With leaf here and a leaf there. Okay? Only thing that we were very comfortable with this, so in theory, we'll just push this a little to clear it. Here. Okay, so the good news is this one is identical to this other side. So what I've done here, I'm just going to give myself another slice of tracing paper to be able to show you. It's okay if you don't do this next part with me and you can just do it on your own later. I just want to give you a little preview. Just tracing it. So all I have to do is just transfer it to the other side to have the full border on the top. There you go. So I'm going to show you. Oops. You can see. Yep. So exactly. Image. Next week we can do the golden hints for this. When I say gilded and golden, I already came up with the other globally. Okay. Well, my last leaf is within a square. Transferring on tracing paper is not the best, but you get the idea. This is what we're gonna have. We're gonna have like the full thing. And if we want to take it to the side, it is just pay attention to the direction. So if we start from this point, which is right here. See, it's the same point that we started. It's the same point here. And it goes, and then it comes downwards. And so it goes here downwards. It's the exact same thing, except for we just like move it more, and then we lose the corner. So then the motion begins from this side, and then you could just change it if you want this to be the repeat units, or you could just do the slice that I've done. So let's take this slice right here to the side. Yep. And then this is how it will be. So it is the same thing that I'm moving, which is very good for us. It's, let me flip it to the other side, because it moves very gently in between them. Yeah, with this side, it's the exact motion of the leaves. The leaves are exact, so I'll show you. So you see how the leaves, like this one is going down, this one's going down, this one's going up, this one's going up, this one's going to the side, this one is going to the side. So it follows the same thing. And then once you reach this point, you just kind of keep moving it down. I hope that makes sense. Did it make sense to you? It's basically, this is our unit. This is the unit that we are working with, and we're just like transferring it across around the borders. Once we paint it, we will talk more about more of the organization, and you can have a play of like moving this tracing and comparing it with the original. But this is basically more or less all that you need to have the full border. And it's a really simple border, and the essence is they have this starting point like in the center, and they just go in a snake way, like up and then down, and it's like the flowers remain the same, the direction of the leaves just changes. Okay, so that's one of the designs we wanted to do today. A few more for you as well. There's this really pretty one, and it is kind of the same essence, but they don't have a defined center point as such. So let me show you. So it's like you have a defined corner. So the corners are the exact same thing-ish. So this, the whole thing of this is mostly freehand. Yeah, it's mostly freehand because like this gives you the impression that it's the same. They have like this leaf on top on both of them. They have the flower, but then the leaves they have, this one they're like wide open leaves, and this one is like really tiny leaves. So we'll probably do most of this. But interestingly, this one is the same. What is the horizontal measurement of the half border? You mean this one that we just did? It was 7 centimeters. Does that make sense? So you remember the 7 centimeters that we measured up to get the, for the whole thing to be 14. So it was 7. Okay, let me take you back to this border. So this one, this corner, although it is not identical to the one facing it, it's identical to the one at the bottom, and this one is identical to here. So it's really interesting that they kind of match corners. Oops, move the whole thing. So these match the corners, they match the corners, but not each other, which is very unusual. It's like we don't really see that a lot when it comes to these borders, because usually the one that we've just done is the most classical example of like there's a point and then they stopped. But with this one, it's kind of like continuous. They have certain elements that are repeating. So they've repeated these flowers. So they have these flowers repeated here, the larger one. They have the 3 petal flowers coming out of them. It's like every time, like clockwork. And then they have these wide, elongated leaves. Lynn, did I answer your question of the 7 centimeters? Or are you talking about this specific one? Because I haven't given you the measurements for this medium yet. I hope I answered. If I didn't, please let me know. All right, so this is now the one we are going to draw. And we are going to be freehand-ish with this one. So we are going to take it just like this. And then we're gonna divide it based on those flowers. So at least we know what's happening. Because this unit is exactly the same as this and this. And so there are some units that have repeated, but not every single one. Yes, we are going to use the same template. Lynn, yes, I definitely would. I will post all of these, so all of them will be downloadable. Shah, do you mean the template as this one? Just the layout?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can send it for sure. So I can just like send you like an image that has this exact template. So you could just like print it out and just like keep practicing on it. All right. I'm so excited about this one. This one is really pretty. And this one is the 12 centimeter measurement. So Lynn, the measurements that you did with the 6 centimeter, you will use it now. It's going to be very useful. So I'm just gonna do it right here, right under. And I'm just using the same thing that we've just done. And this 12 centimeter, there are certain things I'm gonna tell you the measurements of. And it's almost every 2.5. Yep, it's literally every, see, this is when they sway us and change it like in the middle. It'll be like, everything is 2.5 except for this corner. Okay, so on top of your, this is this rectangle that we did earlier that is 6 centimeters each side, a total of 12. And on this one, I want you to make a mark every 2.5 centimeters. Just on top of this, just on top of the tracing. So you don't have to do like anything else. Well, if we do 2.5 centimeters, it'll take us over the edge of our, yeah, that's fine. We'll have 12.5 centimeters, which is awkward. That's why one of them wasn't 2.5. I see. I see. They made a mistake and then we have to live with the consequences. Okay, best way to do is do 12.5 from this side, 12.5 from this side, then start from the line, right from the beginning of the line rather than continuation. This doesn't want to get erased. All right, so you see how this was my beginning point. I did 2.5, 2.5, and then I'm gonna go with, there we go, 2.5 and 2.5. So the midpoint is not going to be 2.5, which is fine. That way we have a very accurate border instead of, you know, what they've done, which is they just decided of like, no, I actually don't feel like it. All right. So actually my 2.5, I'm going to use my little space because I just put 2.5 like everywhere where I'm going to draw. Okay. So I'm going to start with the corner. So the corner, I'm just like extend, if you put 1 centimeter on either side, and then we did 2.5, we also do the 1, because the 1 is just going to give us the corner. Yeah, that was almost accurate. And then for each of them, I'm just doing a faint line. You don't have to do it hard, just like a little faint line. So the square is 1 centimeter and then 1 centimeter. Oh, sorry, Sanjana. I know it's super late for you. Thank you for being with us, though, and I'll send you all the info when they are ready. Take care. Sleep well. This is the thing. We have like lots of international. Okay, so we're going to start from the corners. So this corner here, we're going to do very similar flower to what we did previously. But on top of this, it has like a mini crown-like or like a leaf. Let me zoom right in. You guys see it? Yeah. Okay. And then a smallish flower that is half a petal, middle, full petal, and then another half a petal. And on this other side, on this corner, it's a very similar start, but my flower is a little bigger. So I'm going to give it this crown-looking leaf on top. And then I'm going to do petal, center, half petal, and then center. So as you can see, this one is just slightly larger. And under this, not under it, but just like to this side here, where there's space, we're gonna do a little dancing little leaf. So it starts with a little tooth, and then it extends just like this, and then it becomes very thin again, and you give it a tooth. So it's like almost like an elongated heart shape with a flame coming out of it. Okay. Use these lines that I wanted as guidelines. And then I'm going to go back to this other corner. And I'm going to do very similar to this leaf, but right from the top. And it has 2 teeth. So it starts with a rounded point. And then you go up with a tiny tooth, then a tiny tooth on top, and a little flame. Do the same on the side, tooth, and then tooth. And it's quite small, so it's like, in comparison to my nail, it's like half of my nail. There's that little one. Okay, and from the bottom of it, start with just doing a little line. You do a little line, this can be the center of your leaf. And now we are going to put it, we're going to put the details on either side. So, tooth, and it has 3 as well on the side. The second one, the third one, and the tip. Tooth, 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 and the tip. Okay. And it's okay if yours is a little different than mine. It's absolutely fine. And now on the lines that I extended, you know, when I measured up the 2.5 centimeters, I'm going to put my flowers right in the middle of that line. And there are 5 petals. So 1 on the side of the line, 2 on the other side, 1, and do it again. And they're like the exact same direction every time. It's very nice and accurate work for them. And one more. There we go. I find it so satisfying when I get into the flowers. I'm like, ah, got it. The cool thing is, a lot of these flowers kind of have the same style happening. So the first one is this one. On the side, there's like one branch extending and 3 petal flower with a leaf on top and a leaf on the side. And you will notice that this side belongs to the corner. So this is the corner unit. And this side of the flower is not going to be identical to this side, but here, this unit is going to be similar every step of the way. All right? Same when it comes to this flower as well. And so we're going to go back to this flower right to the side. I have like a mini branch out of it, and then it has 2 teeth. So 1, and then the tip, and 2, and then the tip. And in between, it has this leaf. So start with this like the middle of the leaf, like this line. And then go to the side. 1, that's quite a bit. 2, 3, 4, and the tip. I'll do the same on the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and it looks like rockets, you know, like when you have the salad. You look at the rocket leaf, it looks like a rocket leaf. I know it's not very like romantic or flattering, but it feels like somebody was eating their salad and it's like, oh, you know what, this would make a really nice leaf on my manuscript. Maybe. I'm just imagining the conversation. I could be completely wrong. Okay, so we've done those 2 corners, and I'm going to keep going on the inside. So first of all, we have this leaf that goes. So again, I'm working with the middle of my leaf, and it goes like this. There's a song, and it goes like this. Yeah. Goes all the way up, and then it loops around. And this is more or less the repeated units. This one, repeated units. But you know how they ran out of space here, or they just decided, you know, they don't want to make it the exact same thing? Yeah, which makes it really difficult to repeat things and expect them to be identical. And so you have to just be a little careful. Anyway, and so this one, that looks like almost like a dragon tail, but then this spiral goes also on top. It's like a hook. So this is the spiral. It hooks up on the other side as well. So it goes all the way around. This is the middle. It goes all the way around and hooks up here. And then again, from this one, actually from the top, and it goes all the way around and it hooks up. Okay? And so now that we have the skeleton of my leaves, I'm going to do the actual leaves. First of all, I'm going to do these rockety leaves first. 1, 2, 3, 4. They always have like a 4 teeth ensemble. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And then a nice tip here. 1, 2, 3, 4. we do a lot of counting. I feel like we're in dance class. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're gonna do the 3 round petals from this side. That's a really nice little roundness over there. And then on this side it has a nice roundness sleeve, and then also that same one of the 3 petals. The same one is repeated on the side, right here. We have my 3, and then my leaf. They randomly have a dot right under this, which you can have or not. And again, I'm going to do my rocket leaf. 1, 2, 3, 4, tip. 1, 2, 3, 4, and tip. And now plie. No, just kidding. It honestly sounds like the sports teacher. And then I'm going to have my 3 points, which reminds me of, you know, that clover Irish little green thing. That's what it looks like to me. Okay, leaf from it, leaf from here. I can add like a little mini twirl if you have space. And then I'm gonna repeat that 1, 2, 3 clover petal with like a little leaf, a little twirl. And then I'm gonna do my rocket again, and it's really nice because it's like you have one going to this direction, one going to this direction, and then 2 face each other, and then they separate. Again, it's 4 teeth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. And it goes all the way down. There's like little curl on top. Okay, we have one more. We have that 3 pointed round petals. The leaf coming out of it. See, honestly, I don't feel any pain anymore. Just because I'm drawing. Did you know that there are hidden copyrights Mughal art jokes? I feel it. It hasn't been proven by science, but I feel it. Okay. How do you feel? How do you feel about this little guy? I feel like I could add more leaves and twirls in here. I feel like I have all the space in this little bit. So I'm just like expanding my little rocket leaf. Okay, we haven't managed to do the 5 that I was planning on doing. I think 5 was a bit extra. But we are going to do 2 of the other 2. 2 of the other 2? 2 of the other 4 in the next session. But now, I'll leave this for you to look at for a minute, and then I want to have a chat with you before we go. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Ladies, how are you? What are your thoughts and emotions and drawing dreams? Tell me everything. Shaw, I missed you, by the way. I haven't seen you since last summer. It's been too long.
I know, but I'm always here, you know that.
Oh, you're so sweet.
I just never finish anything, but I always listen to your podcast every day.
Oh, thanks.
Like literally every day.
Oh, you must be bored of my voice. You're like,
no, not really. I always get details, you know, like things that you say. Was like, oh yeah, I missed that last time, but it was good. You know, I really like this. I just appreciate how fast you draw.
Oops, I was slowing down. I was doing 1, 2, 3.
I know you're slowing down, but I went, wait, my leaf doesn't curve like that.
Do you know our leaves curve differently because we're just very unique in drawing things. And you're not alone. I don't finish anything. I just teach it. And then I'm like, okay, I taught it. My students can finish it for me.
Yes, I no longer feel ashamed. So that's good.
And that's perfect because, you know, every subject, like I bought loads of courses last summer. I haven't done them yet. Maybe next summer. Maybe next summer. I don't know.
Yes, that would be a goal.
Yeah. So how are you finding the little borders?
I love it. I need a lot of tracing paper. I was doing something.
Oh, very nice.
I'm going for small tracing paper. I'm just thinking out loud. I need a vertical tracing and I need a horizontal. That's my experience has been that way.
Yeah, usually like when I have an A5, I just keep cutting it in these like little rectangles, and they're really good for like a border.
Yeah.
Especially with these like little thin ones. Well, sounds very good. Letitia, what's up? Birthday week?
Yeah, no. Yeah, the size of it has been a challenge again. I don't know why, but
Get very like you can, you know, the good thing about borders is because we're not really doing anything else other than that border. You can go large or larger, not too large. You found out it's like whenever you do them too big, it's like it's a challenge on its own as well.
yeah, I remember one of the Illumination club where I got it wrong and then I couldn't draw it at all because it was too big.
It's just sometimes, you know, the small shapes sometimes are like lifesavers. You're like, they need little paint, they're very fancy, but you can increase it by like, not loads, but you know how I'm doing 1 centimeter, feel free to do 2.
Yeah.
Or 1.5. That way it's like, but make sure it's, like, because with the small
proportion.
borders, yeah, it's 1.5 centimeters or 2 centimeters all the way around.
Yeah.
Especially the inside ones. But when you go into the margins on the outside, they're different. So they're already like 4 centimeters on top, 3.5 on one side, 1 on one side. So kind of like be aware of that when you're doing like something all the way around. But when they are inside, like around a portrait or around a drawing, they're usually the same exact measurement. So what we've done now, it's like the 1 centimeter, go ahead with 2. So I'll try and do 2 templates for 1 centimeter and 2 centimeters, just to kind of, you know, help in that regards. Sounds good. Lynn, hello, welcome to our classes.
Thank you. I was so excited. I'm a newbie. I'm a neophyte at this, but I've always loved Islamic. Well, I don't really know how to call it Islamic art. Really, I've been more fascinated with Mughal painting for years and years. So it's something I always wanted to do, but I'll tell you, I think I'm the oldest one and my eyes are not so good.
I mean, you don't look old to me. You look 20. Like, you know, like all of us. We're like the 20-year-olds club. As I was saying to Letitia, make it slightly bigger.
Yes. Okay.
So just instead of 1 centimeter, make like 2 centimeters.
And then increase the border proportion.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just like I'll put, when I add in the recording and stuff, I'm gonna add like those little bits.
Okay. Are those your paintings behind?
Yeah. Well, this giant one is like one of the artists I follow, Jethro. But these
I love his work. Oh my God, they're all beautiful.
Thanks. And it's like sometimes when the sun hits it nicely, it has some gold, like the gold actually shines.
I follow you on Instagram and I really like your work and I listen to your podcast.
Oh, thank you guys. You make me want to do season 4.
Yay.
But season 4 is coming in the new year because honestly, I don't have any more money for my editor or any time to record things. So, but it's the plan for New Year for sure. Sonia, how are you? How are you finding it?
Hi, Esra. Well, for me, it's always second try, third try. So I was just lost with the measurements. I have actually a question. So you know how we had the outside margins, Esra?
Yeah.
Can we like do like all sides equal, or does it have to be like 4 and 3?
it's absolutely up to you, but which it might make it easier if you do them all the way around the same exact size, because whatever you do on top, you can just repeat it on all the sides. The challenge is sometimes one of the borders, we might have to do like a little mini border of the same thing, just because it has like one smaller spiral, but feel free to just do one. It might be a bit different in the animal border lesson, just because we're going to be attempting to do elephants. I don't know.
The only reason I'm
that's
asking is
gonna be.
because when you know the page is taken from a book, right? But if I'm doing something on my own, I would like to have it all equal around it, right?
Yeah.
Normally, usually.
Yeah. This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
It's like you can definitely go for that, but I've seen people like Turkish artists who have produced because they want to do this very exact traditional, really large, but they kind of did the page layout as well, just because they want to give that same feeling. So it's kind of like up to you. Make that decision. But it does make it so much easier if like.
And I'll ask you too many questions.
No, I love the questions. Ask away. Ask whenever you feel like it.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Shazia. Hi. Oh, you're muted. How did you find it today?
It was good. Yeah, my challenge is what should be the proportion of the border, but I think doing this class, I think it made some sense. So I think now I will feel a little bit more comfortable doing it. One question, is there a good book that you may recommend, or a good source of this?
There are a few books that I'm going to add when I put the recording up that are actually free to access. So I'm going to have a look at some of them and see which one has good examples. But I feel like the museum collections have better examples than the books. So like I will put in a few things, and hopefully within the next 2 days I will send you the page to access and stuff. But thank you guys so much for joining me today, and it's going to be an awesome month with lots of things. I'll tell you what we need for next week when I send you the recording.
All righty.
Take care, everyone. Have a good night or good day if you're starting.
Bye, Asra. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.